Assalamu alaikum. This is Mohammad Singh welcoming you all to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. A foreign employment sector sees significant growth in 2025 with expatriates sending about $33 billion as remittance. Dua mahfils in mosques and special prayers in other religious places of worship for forgiveness of departed soul of Btv chairperson Khaleda Zia held. A party leaders, activists and mass people including family members paid tribute to Khaleda Zia at her grave, state mourning observed for final day. The scrutiny of nomination papers for 30 national parliament election underway to continue till January 4. A growing unrest in Iran reported to have claimed more lives on fifth day of protests over soaring living costs. And Chattogram Royals beat Dhaka Capitals by 10 wickets in day's first match of BPL. Sylhet Titans facing Rangpur Riders in second match. Viewers, those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. The overseas employment sector witnessed a significant boom last year as expatriates sent about $32,816.87 million in remittances from January to December 2025. Bangladesh Bank sources said the country received a total of $33.33 billion in expatriate income in the 2024-25 fiscal year, while the previous fiscal year recorded $23.91 billion. Expatriates Welfare and Overseas Employment Advisor Dr. Asif Nazrul recently said, the government has taken a realistic plan to send workers abroad with employment opportunities and remains committed to their welfare. He said, expatriates are one of the key driving force of the national economy. Bangladesh Bank data showed that from July to December 29, 2025, expatriates sent $16,079 million in remittances compared to $13,658 million during the same period of the previous fiscal year. Experts from workers' rights groups said Bangladesh signed an agreement with Saudi Arabia for sending workers, marking the first such agreement in the 50 years history of the diplomatic relations between the two countries. They also said multi-visa arrangements have been made for Bangladeshi expatriates workers in Malaysia, while voting rights for expatriates were ensured for the first time. Bangladesh has been witnessing a growing trend in remittance inflows since December last due to multiple factors. Special prayers and supplications were held today at the National Mosque Baitul Mukarram in the capital, seeking forgiveness for the soul of the late former Prime Minister and BNP chairperson Khaleda Zia. A large number of devout worshippers took part in the prayers held after the Jummah prayers. The supplication was led by the Khatib of the National Mosque, Mufti Abdul Malik. In addition, special prayers were offered after Jummah prayers at mosques across the country for the late BNP chairperson. During the prayers, forgiveness and eternal peace of Khaleda Zia's departed soul, as well as for strength and solace for her bereaved family, were asked for. Special prayers were also arranged at temples, churches, pagodas, and other religious places of worship across the country. Remembering her sacrifices, struggles, and contributions, and recalling her as a symbol of uncompromising leadership in Bangladesh's political history, prayers were offered to Almighty Allah, seeking mercy and blessings for her. A dua mahfil and special prayers were held in Chattogram as elsewhere in the country on the death of former Prime Minister and BNP chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia. After Juma prayers, a large number of devotees from different walks of life participated in the dua mahfil at the city's Jamaitul Fala National Mosque. Prayers were offered in the dua mahfil for the forgiveness of the departed soul of Begum Khaleda Zia. Allama Sayyid Muhammad Abu Talib Aladdin Al-Qadiri, Khatib of Jamaitul Fala National Mosque, led the prayer. Her relatives, including her granddaughter, Barrister Jaima Rahman, paid tribute at the mausoleum of former Prime Minister and late BNP chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia. They placed a floral wreaths this morning at the mausoleum of Shahid President Jiaur Rahman and Begum Zia at Jiauddin in the capital, Sher-Bangla-Nagar. Later, family members offered prayers and munajat seeking eternal peace for the departed soul. Besides Jaima Rahman, those present included Begum Khaleda Zia's sister Selina Islam, her younger daughter-in-law Sharmila Rahman, and other relatives. Meanwhile, BNP leaders, activists and people from all walks of life began gathering at the mausoleum of the uncompromising leader from early morning on the holiday, despite the cold weather and dense fog. Along with laying wreaths, they offered prayers and munajat for the salvation of Begum Khaleda Zia's soul. Recitation of the Holy Quran was also seen at the graveside. On the other hand, BNP activists and workers of the Public Works Department were carrying out cleanliness drives in and around the Jiauddin Mausoleum complex. The nation is observing the third and final day of state mourning today, marking the death of former Prime Minister Begum Khaleda Zia. According to a Gazette notification issued by the Cabinet Division on Tuesday, a 3-day state mourning was declared from 31st December to 2nd January. On the final day of mourning, the national flag has been kept at half-mast at all government, semi-government and autonomous institutions, educational establishments, all public and private buildings, as well as at Bangladesh missions abroad. The scrutiny of nomination papers of candidates for the 30th National Parliament election is underway in the offices of returning and assistant returning officers across the country. After the submission of nomination papers on December 29, the scrutiny started on December 30. A total of 253 nomination papers are being scrutinized in 13 constituencies of Dhaka at the Dhaka Divisional Commissioner's Office, which will continue till January 4. If someone's candidacy is not valid in the scrutiny, there will be an opportunity to file an appeal till January 11. Meanwhile, after the scrutiny, the nominations of 7 candidates in the Mishorai constituency of Chattogram 1 have been declared valid, while 3 rejected. A total of 13 candidates collected nomination papers in this constituency, through 10 of them submitted. After the scrutiny of the nomination papers submitted in the Futikchuri constituency of Chattogram 2, the nominations of 5 candidates have been declared valid. On the other hand, the nomination of 4 candidates have been rejected. The nominations of 2 candidates in the Shongbad constituency of Chattogram 3 have been rejected. The nomination papers of the BNP and Jamaat candidates have been declared valid. Religious Affairs Advisor Dr. A.F.M. Khalid said, "A person who has patriotism cannot steal the country's wealth. If people are not honest, this country will never become a developed country." He made these remarks at a donation check distribution ceremony organized by the Buddhist Religious Welfare Trust at the Chattogram Circuit House today. The advisor advised everyone to become modest through religious practice. Sushil Chandra Borua, trustee of the Buddhist Religious Welfare Trust, presided over, while CMP Deputy Commissioner Muhammad Kabir Bhuiya, among others, addressed the occasion. On the occasion of Pravarana Purnima, donation check were distributed from the Chief Advisor's Relief and Welfare Fund to representative of 119 Buddhist monasteries in Raater, Hattachari and Putukchari upazilas. Now, international news. A growing unrest in Iran is reported to have claimed more lives on a fifth day of protest over the soaring cost of living. Both the semi-official Fars news agency and human rights group Hangor said 2 people had died during clashes between protesters and security forces in the city of Lordigan in southwestern Iran. 3 more people were killed in Azna and another Kudus, a Fars reported, all in the west of the country. On Thursday, video posted on social media showed cars set on fire during running battles between protesters and security forces. Many protesters have called for ending the rule of the country's supreme leader. Some also call for a return to the monarchy. As the day wore off, reports came in of unrest up and down the country on the 5th day of the protest sparked by a currency collapse. The first known death linked to the protest occurred on Wednesday night, when one member of Iran's Basij paramilitary force was killed and 13 others injured in the city of Kudus in Loristan province. Venezuelan security forces have detained at least 5 Americans in recent months as the U.S. has built a pressure campaign against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. A U.S. official familiar with the matter said the circumstances of the individual cases vary and some could have been involved in drug smuggling. U.S. officials are still collecting information about what the Americans were doing in Venezuela and at the time of their detention, the official added. A Trump administration official believes that the Maduro regime is detaining the Americans to build leverage against the U.S., the official said, as the pressure campaign against the Venezuelan leader, including the U.S. strikes on drug boats, a CIA strike on Venezuelan port facility, and recent oil blockade has intensified in recent months. A Trump administration official have registered saying that they're actively seeking regime change in Venezuela, but have accused Maduro of being a legitimate and narco trafficker. The administration has been increasing pressure on Maduro, including the blockade of sanctioned oil vessels and other financial tactics. In December, the State Department announced 2 sets of sanctions against Maduro's family members, targeting 3 of Maduro's nephews, his sister-in-law, and other relatives. Russia has accused Ukraine of killing at least 24 people, including a child, in a drone attack on a hotel and cafe where New Year celebrations were taking place in a Russian-controlled part of Ukraine's southern Kherson region. Vladimir Soldo, the Russian-installed governor of the region, first made the claim in a statement on Telegram before Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and senior politician later accused Ukraine of carrying out a terrorist attack. Ukraine has maintained it doesn't target civilians. Soldo also published photos of what he wrote was the aftermath of the attack. At least 1 person's body was visible in the images beneath a white sheet. The building showed signs that a fierce fire had raged and there were what appeared to be bloodstain on the ground. In the statement, Soldo said 3 Ukrainian drones had struck the site of New Year celebration in Kole, a coastal village, in what he said was a deliberate strike against civilians. He said many people were burnt alive. Russia Foreign Ministry said initial information indicated that 24 people had been killed and that 50 people had been injured.